How's it going today, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be on my top 10 maintenance tips on how to keep your sled running and riding absolutely pristine. So let's crack a monster and get into it. Okay, first thing I want to touch on is belt deflection. So when adjusting your belt, this screw right here, just let that focus there. This screw right here, when you screw it in, it cinches your clutch apart, which allows your belt to drop down. When you screw it out, it tightens your belt, which allows your belt, or pushes your belt up. So when you're setting your deflection, your belt has a U to it, like the bottom of the rib, and then the top of the rib. The bottom of the rib, where it kind of dips down, you want it to be lined up with the clutch sheathing. So you'll screw that in, screw that out, whatever you need to do. Roll your belt, pick up the back end, do what you got to do to kind of roll it a little bit, make sure your brake's not, set on or whatever, right? And then make sure that's really lined up, or make sure that bottom of that rib is lined up, and should be good. So alrighty, next thing up is your track tension. This one's a big one because if you have it too tight, you're just restricting horsepower. If you have it too loose, you'll have ratcheting. So how you set your track tension is you lift up the back of your sled and you set a 10-pound weight 16 inches back, and you measure 16 inches back from your axle nut, and you want a certain amount of deflection. Your service manual will tell you what amount of deflection you want there. So what you do is you either cinch it in or cinch it out if it's too loose, too tight, vice versa. So that's a big one. Keep your track tension perfect and you'll be good to go. Okay, while we're down here, the next thing we're going to talk about is your rail sliders. So you want to keep an eye on these. They are the covers basically that go along the bottom of your rails. If you obviously don't have those, you're going to have aluminum just grinding right on your track and you'll just wear right through it. You want to be able to lift up the back end and just kind of take a peek in there and see kind of the wear on them. Keep an eye on those. You want to keep those fresh. I actually just put a fresh pair on here because I put a newer track on here. So I put a fresh pair of sliders on here just so I didn't screw my track. So yeah, that's another really important thing. So on to the next thing. Okay, last big thing I kind of want to cover in the track is your grease fittings. You want to grease all your suspension parts because obviously you don't want that steel on steel. It's a lot of moving parts constantly. So you want to keep those greased up and lubricated up. And yeah, so let's jump up to the front. Alrighty, your clutches. You want to keep these absolutely pristine. A lot of people will just blast them with brake clean and then blow them out with air after. I'm not a huge fan of that. I actually like to take them apart and clean every last little piece in there. You got rollers, you got bearings, you got weights, you got just so much stuff inside your clutch, and it's what drives your snowmobile. So you want to keep it absolutely clean as possible. So if you guys want me to make a video on that, let me know down in the comments. I can definitely do that. If you guys want me to make a video on any of these things, I can definitely make a video on it. So okay, next thing I want to talk about is your power valves. Those are your power valves way in there. There's two of them. You're basically going to want to pop those guys out. There's, I think, 3 screws, something like that. I usually do these yearly. They get really sooted up. They're a valve that basically just controls what's going on in your engine. I like to clean those yearly because they do really get sooted up. So if you have those sooted up, they just don't move the way they're supposed to. You get more carbon buildup inside your engine, all that stuff. So you clean those guys once a year and it will make your sled run a lot better. So on to the next thing. Okay, while we're in the engine bay here, I want to talk about one more thing, and that is your spark plugs. And those kind of go hand in hand with your power valves. If you keep your power valves clean, that'll go a long way of just not fouling your spark plugs as much. So you always want to run good quality ones. I like running laser iridium ones. They don't seem to foul as much. So run good quality plugs, keep them nice and fresh. Always keep a spare set with you. And yeah, so okay, the next few things I want to talk about are nicely in this area. So first thing is your brake pad life. You want to just, obviously, it's self-explanatory. You just want to make sure your brake pad life is good. You want to make sure your rotor's looking good, not warped, nothing's looking weird. Next thing is your chain case oil. A lot of people like to overlook this. They like to let it get black and goopy and gross. And I mean, this is what drives your sled as well as your clutches, right? So you want to make sure it's good. You can check your oil. There's a bung that you just kind of take out through like kind of your running board area there. Make sure the oil's all the way up to the bottom of the threads at least. Use proper oil that is meant for your sled. And yeah, so newer sleds actually have been, they got belt converted. So they only have 2 little pulleys and a belt. Make sure your belt looks good. Just kind of inspect that area if you don't have a chain case, all that fun stuff. So next thing is your exhaust. So you have exhaust springs and you have exhaust donuts. So you want to make sure your donuts aren't wearing out too much and your exhaust springs aren't clapping out too much, because your springs can clap out and lose their springiness after a while and stop kind of holding that pressure of your can and everything. Make sure everything's just solid. It's not as much of a worry if your donut goes here as much of it would be as if it's at your Y pipe. 2 strokes are reliant on back pressure. That's why you have that big chrome, it's called an expansion chamber. It's designed to create back pressure because the engine needs back pressure, right? 4-strokes aren't as reliant on it as 2-strokes are, but 2-strokes need back pressure. So if your donut's leaking at the Y pipe right before your expansion chamber, you're going to be losing back pressure where you need it, and it's not going to be a good situation. So yeah. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is your ski carbides. For those of you who don't know what a ski carbide is, it is the piece of steel that runs along the bottom of your ski to help you steer. As you can see on this ski, there is absolutely nothing, and I actually have a big hole in the ski. I hit a stump with this one and just absolutely blew it apart. I'm going to also toss in ski rubbers as well, because you can see you want to have some, rigidness to your ski. You don't want it to flop around like that. That's no good. So I'm going to put carbides and skis in this, carbides and rubbers in the same section. As you can see on this ski, I actually have a pretty good carbide. Sadly, you can only buy them in pairs, so I'm going to have to buy 2 and just replace 1. That's what you just got to do. So, alrighty guys, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope these maintenance tips help you. If you guys want a part 2, I'm sure I can get a part 2, maybe even a part 3. Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you later.